So in relation to the charges against Mr. Fadiel Adams, we are aware that he visited numerous times the hitman of Mr. Sindiso Magaqa at a very sensitive stage of the investigation. So the question is, in what capacity was he visiting that particular hitman, knowing very well that the political killings task team is still investigating the matter? There are still other outstanding suspects. So at this stage, we do believe that his visit and him taking down statements and of the hitman, it was part of interfering in the administration of justice, knowing very well that there is an investigation. And first and foremost, Mr. Fadiel Adams is a member of parliament. He is not an investigator. For example, myself, Nhlanhla, as a spokesperson, I cannot now go and visit an awaiting trial prisoner or even a convicted person.
Following the early mornings of Saturday, after a raid was conducted in the former house of Mr. Fadiel Adams, he then subsequently had a brief insulting Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, telling him to bring it on. Now the police are asking him to hand himself over, and the charges are fraud and obstructing justice, and these charges are related to the unaliving of Sindiso Magaqa. In this video, let us talk about what is going on with Fadiel Adams.
And I'll tell you why. In the ad hoc committee, he claimed that I used a blue light escort to the prison in Westville. I was indeed escorted by Metro Police, not the South African Police Services, to the Westville prison, while on my official duty. Because I went to Westville prison to interview the killer of one of our finest, Sindiso Magaqa.
Arranged with Mr. Botched to be picked up by Metro Police from the airport and driven on blue light.
Metro Police.
And driven on blue light into the prison. And he arrives there, he signed as a member of parliament. The prison believes that he's on an official duties, and he leaves with blue lights back again to the airport.
So how can we get confirmation about this besides you telling us this?
I have it in black and white. I have statements, I have entry into the prison, I have statements of the members that drove.
Okay, we know that he went.
So on Saturday, we got news, actually it was Sunday morning, we got news that Fadiel Adams was actually raided. It started on Saturday and then proceeded to Sunday. He went to different media houses complaining that he has been raided by the police officers. He then had a brief also on Saturday morning, talking about how these police officers have raided him, even asking for Mr. Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi to bring it on, saying things like he's gonna be the last man standing.
These are powerful people. These are ruthless people. But you must understand one thing, Mkhwanazi. I'm not going to stop. I remember the song that you sent. You'll be the last motherfucker breathing. No, you won't. I will.
And addressing a plethora of things that were going on actually with him and everything else. He started insulting Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi regarding his family and the fact that he abandoned his duties and went and attended his family affairs and did not care about the country.
What pains me is to see a leader of society and coming here and talk bad about what happened in July. And I was there on the ground. I faced the fire. That X5 I talked about earlier that I had bought in Pretoria. I drove that car alone in the car because I was isolating because Gerald Mfazi had died and people that were Gerald Mfazi were with us in the operation. So I had to isolate. In that isolation, I had to go and see the operations. I got into my own car. I drove through Phoenix with my handgun, hoping that someone would attack me and I was going to fight with that handgun. If I die, I die. Because I wanted to see these attacks and these murders that were happening in Phoenix with my own eyes, with no escort. I drove that night. That's a sacrifice that I made. The riot starts and the riot ends, Mr. Adams. The ministers, they come down to KZN after the riots. After the riots, they visit KZN. Why do they visit? It's because their boss, which is the President of the Republic, is coming to visit the following day to assess the damage. So when ministers arrive late at the airport and they drive and they see what is happening around and we brief them, the following day the president lands. I'm the one who's doing the briefing. The following day the president lands. That time we're busy with the mop-up operation. We are cleaning now. The dust is settled. We are cleaning. The president arrives. I'm the one that takes the president around all these sites in KZN. In Durban. Me, this one. The president is satisfied and he hears the plan of how we're going to deal with this and investigation and so forth. He gets on the aeroplane, he flies out. 2 days later, we are busy with clean-up investigation. There's no riot at all. I then get into the car. I drive with that X5 to Pretoria. And arrive in Pretoria, the following day, my wife gives birth, cesarean section. And she stays in a hospital, Mr. Adams, and she gets out the following day with the stitches in the stomach. I put her in that X5, Mr. Adams. I drive with her and that toddler, 1-year-old, for 1,000 kilometers, Mr. Adams. And I leave her with a family. I go to the airplane, I fly back to Durban. I'm not there with a child. I left them like, that's a sacrifice that I don't think anyone will ever make. That's what I contributed in this July unrest.
He made like really serious allegations regarding Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. According to Fadiel Adams, he says that the results of his investigation basically going to Westville, conducting the so-called interviews that he's been conducting, of which it is investigations. He's coming to say that the actual person that is involved in this unaliving of Sindiso Magaqa is actually DUMISANI KHUMALO. You see that he was conducting investigations. Now, of course, he's coming with the name of DUMISANI KHUMALO, and I don't know how DUMISANI KHUMALO is involved. But as this case develops, we'll know what is going on.
All these, like, do the Cape Flats Lighties not have enough violence imposed upon them? Now you got these type of thugs operating here. Now let me ask you a question, South Africa. Sindiso Magaqa meant something to us? He was killed. The killer is saying SAPS involved. He's saying it. He's mentioning DUMISANI KHUMALO's name. General DUMISANI KHUMALO's name. Mkhwanazi is refusing to investigate. But he sends his goons from KZN to the man who obtained the letter. What is he trying to cover? Now let me ask you something else. In terms of expense, what does it cost to send 15 PKTT members here? To hire the cars, the hotels, the food. They could have given that job to a local unit who could have come to my house and arrested me. Klar. But let's take it a step further. Why wasn't I just issued a warning letter? I haven't committed a crime. Where's the crime? Let Mkhwanazi pull the constitution and show me which crime I've committed. Because this idiot, this apartheid servant, this coward doesn't understand the law.
He also obviously spoke about this Sindiso Magaqa unaliving and said that they had a problem with him going there to the prison and investigating. He's interested in the matter because his intention is to arrest these police officers.
And I'll tell you why. In the ad hoc committee, he claimed that I used a blue light escort to the prison in Westville. I was indeed escorted by Metro Police, not the South African Police Services, to the Westville prison while on my official duty. Because I went to Westville prison to interview the killer of one of our finest, Sindiso Magaqa. I think this country's forgotten about him. He was killed for exposing corruption in Durban. The killer has given me a written statement saying that he was escorted to the crime and from the scene by the South African Police Services. The killer wants to tell the truth. He wants nothing in exchange. Not a reduction of sentence, not a financial reward. Mkhwanazi hasn't sent a single policeman to go and hear this man's story. Not one. What Mkhwanazi has done, he's insinuated to Parliament that I've committed a crime. In the ad hoc committee, Mkhwanazi has said that there will be a conference call later where we will hear something about Adams. What you were supposed to hear was that Adams had contrived or corrupted or abused his power, whatever power he thinks I have, to obtain a blue light escort. The person implicated, the person who was supposed to make the statement, is Detective Sergeant Carlton Thomas, who has laid a charge against Mkhwanazi and Major General Gopal because he claims that they forced him into a room where the cameras were set up and had written a script that he was supposed to incriminate me in front of the ad hoc. He refused. Therefore, that conference call never happened. That raid on Friday, Saturday morning, was because on Thursday, I'd asked Minister Kachalia why the National Commissioner is suspended, because he's charged, something I demanded, no one else did. But DUMISANI KHUMALO is still at work at Crime Intelligence, he's charged too. There's no consistency here. The minister couldn't answer because there's no consistency here. Now, Mkhwanazi sends the PKTT after me. They want to arrest the people that are holding him accountable.
That is not enough, fellow South Africans, because this man insulted Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, saying that he's fighting the battles of DUMISANI KHUMALO, like he always says. He said that actually he was coming for DUMISANI KHUMALO because DUMISANI KHUMALO is currently not suspended, whereas Fani Masemola is suspended, and he was calling for the suspension of DUMISANI KHUMALO.
Apparently in a way, arrest warrant out for me. I don't know what crime they say I've committed. I don't know how they obtained it. I don't know lied in his statement. But I'm going to comply with the process. However, I want to ask Mkhwanazi a very simple question. Well, let me ask the country a question. Fani Masemola, the National Commissioner, Mkhwanazi's bra, the one that he tried to hold the country to hostage for, not so that he couldn't be arrested, is accused of defrauding this country of about 50 million rand in conjunction with Vusikat Matlala. He is given a warning letter and told to appear in court. Fadiel Adams was escorted by Metro Police to a prison to find out the truth, and he's to be arrested in the middle of the night like a thief or a murderer. These people have no consistency because they don't understand the law. But what I want to say to you, is that in the middle of all this, Mkhwanazi must understand I'm not going away. And the cases that we laid are not going away. And the evidence that we have is not going away. As a matter of fact, we have more evidence. And this week we'll be laying more charges against them.
Because we know how Fadiel Adams wants to make sure that Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi goes down, we then found out from ENCA, the family that actually staying in that house of Fadiel Adams that got the raid, that felt that particular raid that happened on that day. They came forward. I know, guys, that might be quite a long video that is going to play right now of this family saying their side of the story, but this is what this family said.
So basically about 4, just before 4 or just after 4, we were in bed and there was a knock. It was either by the window or the door. We both woke up and we thought that we were measuring things. Then another knock came and she told me to wake up. I got up. The bedrooms was all at the back. Came to the front and there was a torch shining through the window here. Now we've got another window on the side. I peeked through the blind. I saw no one. I didn't even see a vehicle in front. But then they knocked on the side window and the torch was shining through the side window, and I peeked through there, and as I was speaking they could see there's someone inside. They said, "Police, open up, police, open up." That's when I came to the door. Upon opening the door, both gates were open already. Both locks were cut. So they rushed through and they pinned me to the ground right here by the city here. I had to lay like this, face down, and that's when they made their way through the passage. What happened there? That's when she came out of the passage, and I can't really tell you what happened after that because I was lying like this all the time. I couldn't even lift up my head.
Who did they say they were when they came to the house? Because you say they called and said, "Police, open the door."
They didn't introduce or nothing.
Okay, so basically, when he got up, I heard a commotion and I came from the room. So we have a baby and I left the baby and I rushed down the passage. But when I came into the passage, I saw a torch and a huge gun in my face. And the guy said, put your hands behind your back and lay on the floor. And then I said, "No, why? I don't know you. What are you doing here?" And then he basically rushed to me and then he pointed the weapon and he said, "Get onto the floor." And then I was sitting on the floor and then he he moved past me, and then another one entered the passage, and another one entered the passage. They went into the bathroom, and then the one went to the kids' room, past me to the kids' room. The light went on, and I heard a smack, and I shouted, don't eat, they are only children. But I didn't know at that point who they smacked or what happened. And then they took the other one from the room, and then they put all 3 kids in the one room. And they were still standing with their weapons. And then I said, oh, can I just go to the room to go and get my baby, because there's still a baby? And he said, no, you have to wait here, and I will go check if there is. And then he went in, checked, and they said, okay, you can go to get the baby. And then I got the baby, and then they wore masks, and they wore uniform, but the guns, it was like a rifle weapons.
Were they wearing police uniform?
Yes, they were wearing the blue police uniform with the vest and the long gun with the ski mask and a big helmet,
And glasses, dark glasses.
Yeah, so we didn't see their faces, and I went into the room, I switched on the light, and they were standing in the door, and then they asked me, whose house is this? And I'm like, it's our house. Whose house is it? What are you doing here? And then they said, are we renting the house? And I said, no, we're not renting the house. And they said, okay, so are you lying to me? And I said, no, I can show you what is our house, like whose house is it supposed to be? And they asked me, who did I buy the house from, and where did I get the house? And I said, I bought it through an agent. And then they were like, am I related to Fadiel Adams? And I told the guy, I don't even know Fadiel Adams. Like, we came to view the house. I've never met Fadiel Adams in my life. Like, I don't know Fadiel Adams. I'm not related to him. I purchased the house just like every other person. And then he said, no, you're lying, you lie. Show me your documents. And then I came in, and then I asked them if he could take the baby, but he was still laying on the floor. And then they were very reluctant for him to sign. And so I said, well, I can't get any documents for you if you don't. And then they took my ID, and they took a picture, and I asked them, why are they taking photos of our personal documents, and who are they? They didn't say anything, as in nothing. They asked questions, they didn't answer any questions. And they wanted to see, and then I said, okay, there by the fireplace, you can check there. There's like a rates paper. You will see my ID, and our details are there. You can check if it is the same. And they said, yes, we want to check, and show us when this house was sold. Show us you do have documents. And then I went through my email, and I looked for documents to show them. And that was when all the others, they were still standing around with weapons throughout the house, basically.
And they were not searching for anything.
They just opened one cupboard.
Nothing. They didn't search for anything.
They only asked for Mr.
Anyway, they only look for people, basically.
And then I showed them the title deed of the house, and then they took pictures of the title deed. And then the one guy just said, oh, the registration date is here. Okay, move out. We're leaving now. And then I asked him, so why were you here? What are you doing here? We don't know you. Like, who do we report to? And then they didn't answer us. And then I told him, those people didn't even get into a car or nothing. And then I walked to the front, to the gate, just to see that they were walking all the way down the road, because they parked right at the end of the road in one of the side roads. They parked there, but we were watching them. And as they turned around, they were in white vehicles with
It was a silver one.
A silver,
yeah.
But there was no markings on it. It was just like
a private car?
A private, yeah.
One of those vehicles with the door on the side, like a taxi, something like that.
And how did Mr. Adams find out about this particular raid? Did you guys contact him?
So basically what happened, after they now left, I have no contact with him. I don't have his number. And then I asked the neighbor, because he stayed here for very long, I asked the neighbor, listen, do you have his number? Because what happened was, they took pictures of all my documents, which was okay, but on the deed and the stuff, there's some information of theirs also, which I felt like I needed to tell him that I have now given some of his information, like ID numbers and things, to these people. And I didn't do it on purpose, because they wanted the documents. And I tried to get his number, and the neighbor gave me his number, and I contacted him, and I apologized firstly for now giving the number and whatever. And I told him, listen, the people came here looking for you. I don't know what the situation was. And then he just said, okay, no, he will take it from there. But then later on, I went to the police station. And then, because I still feel like no one gave us an answer as to what happened. I know he has this whole thing on social media where he's saying that people were after him and whatever, but that leaves us without any explanation, because this is our house, this is our property, and they cut our locks and so we don't even know. We don't even know if they are gonna come back, because they have all our personal documents. They have pictures of our IDs. They have pictures of our title deed. They have all our pictures and all our details. So why? What do they do? I asked them, why are you taking pictures? Why not just look at the thing and know that no, it is no longer his house? Because they were asking about him.
And how's your young son doing? Because you do understand he has been left traumatized by the actions from...
It's the nephew, it's not the son.
Yeah.
It's the nephew, yeah. But basically they're all okay.
Yeah.
They're all okay, yeah. They're not speaking yet. They're just in the bedrooms. They didn't even come out yet. I don't know if they're out by now. But they were just in the bedrooms for the whole of yesterday. My son wanted to go to my sister because he said, like, he don't want to be here because it's not nice waking up looking into people with big guns, pointing at the kids. So that's basically where we are.
Yeah. Did you manage to get a case number? Because he tried, or he told us that he tried to open a case, but he was not able to get a case number. So you guys, when you opened a case,
we basically opened a case, but I don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, we do have a case number.
But it would be an injustice for us to continue with this video without us talking about what Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi said at the ad hoc committee regarding this case of Sindiso Magaqa and how Fadiel Adams went to prison regarding this particular matter, which has really sparked a lot of conversation. And this is what happened.
Mr. Bakbra to be picked up by Metro Police from the airport and driven on Blue Light.
Metro Police.
And driven on Blue Light into the prison. And he arrives there, he signed as a member of parliament. The prison believes that he's on an official duties and he leaves with Blue Lights back again to the airport.
So how can we get confirmation about this besides you telling us this?
I have it in black and white. I have statements, I have entry into the prison, I have statements of the members that drove.
Okay, we know that he went there because that's not disputed. I'm talking about the Blue Lights.
There's statements on that already.
Sworn.
There's a criminal case open against Mr. Adams. Because honorable chair members, and again, what became known, what made Merity House and many people start making noise, including Honorable Adams, about PKTT and the case of Sindiso Magaqa. The obsession with General KHUMALO and wanting to manipulate that everything is about General KHUMALO, that blinded them. KHUMALO arrested the criminals that killed Magaqa, that planned and organized and killed Magaqa. He arrested them. KHUMALO discovered that the resources that were used came from crime intelligence. A parallel investigation is running for that purpose. But KHUMALO is blamed for the death of Magaqa. So because there are members that try to drive a different narrative. So, and then the member of parliament, Mr. Adams, doesn't pause to analyze this. Had he done that, he was going to get the facts and be able to realize that I'm now interfering with the police operation by going to this criminal that is convicted and getting some statements and trying to paint a different picture. So these are just but one example of many of those instances.
No. You know, after this raid and Fadiel started having these brief and interviews, the panic that came with it, I feel like he knew that he was going to be arrested, and for what?
Yeah, but then they were told they're not allowed on the precinct. You see what I tell you about these people? They don't understand the law. They're not allowed on parliament grounds. Like this is what Mkhwanazi them command. Like what chance does the ordinary citizen have when you deal with policemen that don't understand the bloody law? This is like they were here to arrest me. I came outside because I'm not afraid of arrest. I'm not afraid of them, but now they're gone.
Because he did say, number one, that there's a warrant of arrest against him, and he specifically addressed the issue of Sindiso Magaqa in this particular press brief. So I want to believe that he knew that he was going to be arrested. Hence, he was kind of like, bring it on, and throwing ultimate tantrums and trying to address things. I don't know for what. I don't know if he was trying to make us ready, or he was trying to paint a certain picture that they are against him, or they are after him after he has made charges or put charges or placed charges against KHUMALO, as well as Fanima Samola and Mkhwanazi. He's trying to protect those people. He said all of those things over and over again. But all I can say is that I think he knew That is why he was addressing people specifically about this issue of Magaqa.
3 weeks ago, I emailed the Minister, Kachalia, and I said to him, I believe the PKTT is looking to contrive or obtain an arrest warrant for me. I said, I'm not a fugitive, neither am I a criminal. I'm happy to comply. Here's my attorney on record. I'll hand myself over to the police station because I know what's coming. Mkhwanazi received this email. The PKTT, it's an innocent house anyway.
I think that you cannot just come act. I think more than anything, the charges are clear. This person is fraud and obstructing of justice because they lied about who they are. As Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi said, they lied about who they are. One thing about Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi and the police, they don't want you to poke them like a bear when they haven't done anything to you. And that is exactly what Fadiel Adams did. Fadiel Adams was just living his life, and then the raid happened in his house. Then he's just assumed that raid was because of Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi and the PKTT. If you guys have listened, the family never confirmed that this raid was from the PKT. They just said it was the police officers that were covering themselves. They never confirmed whether it was Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi or it was who.
The evidence that I have is in the statement of the people who were harassed and assaulted by these people. They are saying they came into the house looking for Fadiel Adams.
But did they say they were PKTT?
Ma'am, there's only one unit in this country that operates like that with Baraklava with no identity. That's the PKTT. They are a bunch of thugs.
But now he just inserted Lieutenant Mkhwanazi because he hates him and he believes that that is the man that is after him. And we've learned even from people like Kelvin Matibeli, we've learned from people like even Umlojwa, the very people that he's busy recruiting to stand against Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. We've learned about around all these people that it does not end well. And I definitely believe that it won't end well for Fadiel Adams, because with this raid that has happened and this obstruction of justice case, which was clearly clarified by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, that what actually happened in this case is that these people, they were fraud. They fraudulently went to the prison. They lied about their identity, and they also used the blue lights so that they can be seen as important. I don't know what you guys think. I definitely think that I knew. If you guys are watching my videos, OGs of this channel, I said it a long time ago that Fadiel Adams will be arrested. I said it even in the video that I spoke about Fanima Semola regarding him being on suspension and him being charged. The way he's too much in the front line. I told you guys that it won't end well, and it didn't end well for Fadiel Adams. What do you guys think about this case? Let me hear your thoughts. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you on my next upload. Bye.
I think you and Honorable Adams must have a moment.
Now at the room, one of us will come out.
No.
Give us a room. One of us will come.
Lieutenant General, you can't say that. That's like a threat.
No.